Okay, so picture this. The single greatest medical breakthrough of the 20th century didn't start with a brilliant plan. Nope. It began because a scientist went on vacation and was a bit of a slob. He totally forgot to clean his lab. That's the wonderfully messy start to the story of the very first penicillin. A discovery so accidental, it was almost tossed straight into the trash. Talk about a lucky save, right? Now, let's set the scene. Imagine a world where a simple paper cut could be deadly, where things like pneumonia or an infection from childbirth were often a death sentence. This was the grim reality before 1928. Doctors were practically helpless against invisible bacterial armies. They could tell you what was wrong, but a cure? That was a whole different story. And into this world steps our hero, a quiet, unassuming bacteriologist named Alexander Fleming. Alexander Fleming wasn't on a mission to save millions. He was just a genuinely curious guy with a famously messy lab. His colleagues definitely joked about the chaos, but in September 1928, that disorganization paid off big time. Returning from a holiday, he found a Petri dish he'd left out, now covered in a blue-green mold. But here's the kicker. There was a clear halo around the mold where the bacteria had been completely wiped out. A less observant person would have just seen a failed experiment. But Fleming? He saw a fascinating puzzle. His reaction wasn't a loud eureka, more like a quiet, "Huh, that's funny." He identified the mold as Penicillium and called the bacteria-killing substance penicillin. His crude experiments, using what he called mold juice, showed it could kill some of the deadliest bacteria. It was an incredible, accidental discovery. But the story was far from over. You'd think the world would have celebrated, right? Wrong. When Fleming presented his findings, he was met with a collective shrug, a deafening silence. The problem was, this mold juice was incredibly finicky. It was unstable and nearly impossible to purify. Experts declared it a dead end. So, for over a decade, penicillin was basically a forgotten footnote, a neat lab trick that Fleming himself eventually moved on from. The miracle was shelved. But then, World War II loomed, and the desperate need for a drug to fight infection brought penicillin back into the spotlight. A decade later, two scientists at Oxford, Howard Florey and Ernst Chain, rediscovered Fleming's old paper. Their team finally managed to purify penicillin enough to run a crucial test. They infected 8 mice with a lethal bacteria. Only the 4 treated with penicillin survived. The proof was undeniable. This was a life-saving drug. The first human trial was a real roller coaster. A policeman with a severe infection started to miraculously recover, until the tiny supply of penicillin ran out. He tragically died. This heartbreaking moment made it clear they needed to mass-produce this thing. So, what did the first penicillin actually look like? It wasn't a neat little pill. It was a cloudy, yellowish liquid grown in bathtubs. Crude, but it held the spark that has since saved hundreds of millions of lives. So, what's the takeaway? It makes you wonder, what if Alexander Fleming had been a tidier man? What if he'd just washed that dish? How many other world-changing discoveries are hiding in plain sight, just waiting for a curious mind to notice? What first invention do you think changed humanity the most? Let us know down below. And if you want more stories of the revolutionary firsts that shaped our world, make sure to subscribe. The next story is always just around the corner.